Well, welcome to the second video in Windows for Bears of Little Brain. I should have said on the first video that you have to work out what the significance of that name is. Last time we looked at what we do with a window, one window within Windows. The window is the thing that the application sits in. And we looked at moving the window, we looked at resizing the window, minimizing and maximizing the window. What I want to look at this time is what you do with two windows. Productivity, the whole idea of Windows and being productive in Windows is that you can use multiple windows, multiple applications. Some applications have several windows in themselves anyway. And I think for a lot of people, they're only comfortable using one window at a time. But it's important that you learn how to have multiple windows. Now, we're only going to look at just two windows. But we'll look at what you can do with two windows, how you can move around them, how you can get the best out of them. So let's start. So the first thing we need to do is open two windows. Now, I'm not sure that I would open windows that you'd be interested in, so I'm going to open two windows really just as an excuse to open windows. So don't worry too much about what's in the windows, it's the windows themselves we're looking at. So first of all, I'm going to open a browser, and I'll make this window a bit smaller just so that you can see. You remember, you move the mouse around until you get that change of cursor and then drag it up. So there's the first one. I'm also going to open one of these things. This is actually either you can call it a Windows Explorer or it's a file manager. It doesn't really matter what you call it. And we'll make this a bit squarer as well. Okay. Now, we've got two windows open. So the first question is obviously, if I'm working in one window and I need to do something in the other window, how do I get to the other window? Well, if you've got it like this, it's quite easy because you simply click on the other window. There you are. And then when I need to go back, I simply click on the first one. But you do need to be careful, because if you click in the wrong place, you might get something happen that you didn't really need, didn't really want. So clicking backwards and forwards is fine, but you've got to be a little bit careful, and you need to choose an area where you know nothing is going to happen. So there are alternative ways of moving between two windows, and I'm going to show you two. One is kind of keyboard based, so you can't show you, but I can tell you, and the other one is mouse based, which is it'd be easier to see. And in fact, both of these work well even when one window is hiding the other. So if I wanted to get to the other window now, I can't simply click on it because it's behind the window that's currently active. So let's look at the keyboard method first. And in order to do the keyboard method, I need to explain something which we will terms that we will use later on more and more, and which you could hear in other contexts. I want you to press Alt and Tab. Now, I need to explain what Alt and Tab means. Down the bottom of your keyboard, you will see a number of keys that are often used in combination with ordinary keys. And in particular, it's the Shift, the Control, and the Alt. There is also a key which is a kind of a window in perspective, which looks very much like the Start button in the bottom left-hand corner of the screen at the moment. That's the Windows key, and sometimes that's used in combination as well. But the main keys in combination are the Shift, the Control, and the Alt. Now we need the Alt. And when you use these keys in combination, what you do is you hold down these important keys, the Shift, the Control, or the Alt. You hold them down, and then you tap the other key that you're interested in. Now, when I say tap, I never know how to describe it. When you're simply typing and you're typing letters one after the other, what are you doing? Are you pressing the key? Are you tapping the key? Are you hitting the key? Well, the best way of describing it I found is tap. So tap means you just press it down and then let go quite quickly, just like when you're ordinary typing. So there are two ways of holding the key. One is to press and hold, and the other is to tap. So what you do is you press down and hold the Alt key, and then you tap the tab key. The tab key, if it's not got tab on it, is above the caps lock, and often it will have a large arrow with a kind of line at one end. So in fact what you can often do is hold down the Alt key with your thumb, and while you hold it down you tap the tab, and when I do that you'll see the other screen, the other window come to life. So let's do it. Alt and tap, and there it is. It was as easy as that. Hold down the Alt and tap, and it takes you back to the first window. Now, I don't know if you noticed, if you were eagle-eyed, that between the movement there was something else that popped up. If you hold down the Alt and you hold down the tab subsequently, you will actually see the other screen. In fact, you can let go of the tab. It's holding down the Alt. I'm still holding down the Alt key. And you'll see that the browser is highlighted, and that's telling you that the browser will be selected next. In fact, you can use your mouse on this, and I can actually turn it back to the one we've started in just by clicking on that one. But the purpose for this is to use it with the keyboard, and the whole idea is that you can see what you're selecting. It's not really very helpful at the moment, but we will come back to that when we have multiple windows, more than two windows. But for the moment, that's one way of just moving backwards and forwards between windows. Okay, so that's the keyboard-based method. But I promised you there's a mouse-based method. And what's that? Well, in fact, it's got to do with this bar down the bottom. Most people have this bar down the bottom. For some people, they have it set so that when you move your mouse away, it slides down and disappears. But all you have to do is move your mouse down near the bottom and it reappears. Some people will have it over on the left-hand side, the right-hand side, or even the top. But most people have it down the bottom. And on this taskbar, you can see icons for the two things that we've opened. Now, they were always there, but you can see that this one is actually highlighted, and it's because it's the one that's active at the moment. But there are these little white bars. I think we talked about them last time, but there's these little white bars down below. And when we hover our mouse over these icons, you can actually see the little screen, which tells you what's actually available. So although we can't see it, the browser is there and it's active and it's available. So if I click on this icon, it will take us to the other screen. Click, and it's there. If I click on the file manager now, it will take me back to the file manager. It's as simple as that. Just click on this icon down here, and it takes you there. So isn't that simple? Moving between windows. You either hold down the Alt and press Tab, or you use these icons at the bottom of the screen. And just so that you know, although these icons are there all the time, but if you start something that doesn't normally have an icon, let's open a calculator, okay? And there it is, it's appeared down the bottom on the screen. Now the other ones are still there. I can still switch to each of those, or I can switch to the calculator. If I close that calculator, the icon disappears. If I close the file manager, the icon doesn't disappear because the icon is pinned to the task manager. So these are kind of critical applications. And we will talk about that more in the future. So there's the file manager again. Okay. So we've learned how to switch between two windows. Now there's one neat little thing that Windows 10 offers. which is worth showing you. It's not so useful for these, so I'm going to close that one. I'll leave the browser open. What I will do is I will open another application. I'm going to open Windows. I can never remember where it is. I hope I get it right. Yeah, Windows WordPad. There we go. Now this is a kind of word processor. You may have a preferred word processor, and there it is now. There's the icon. So we've got the browser and we've got the word processor. Now imagine you're reading an article on the internet. You're reading an article, but you're also writing a piece, a story or something about that. And it would be good to be able to see them side by side. Well, you can do that. Here's what you do is you grab the one of the windows, and you remember I told you how to drag. So I'm holding the left mouse button down and I'm dragging it across, and you bring it right to the edge of the window, and as I do, you'll see a change. Can you see that there's a kind of a ghost window? So if I let go now, it actually puts that window in one half of the screen, and it's also flashed up the other one. If there were more applications running in the background, it would show them all, and you could choose which one you want. So I'm going to click on this browser, and there it is in the other half of the screen. So this allows me to half and half, and I can work on both of them. I can start looking through for my story, and I can start writing in my word processor. Now that's true of any window. It doesn't have to be word processor, it doesn't have to be browser. But it's a neat little trick that allows you to be able to arrange your documents carefully. And even though you've got more than two, it will allow you to pick two that you can put side by side. You simply pull it away and it moves back to the way it was. Pull it away and it moves back to the way it was. And there you have it.